So by a show of fingers and without saying anything, who could name at least one thing President Biden has achieved while in office? Something that Biden himself would say is an achievement. Don't shout it out. Tell me by a show of fingers, who could name at least one thing that Biden has achieved in office that, that you think he's achieved in office that Biden would say is also an achievement? It's like I got Carolyn holding finger, Carolyn. So I got Carolyn and Michael. Who else? Julius. I got three of you. Okay. So just want to be clear for the other four of you, there isn't anything that you could name that Biden has achieved in office since he's been president. Okay. Nakia, do you have one? Are you raising your finger or not?
I do have one.
You do have one. Okay, so I got four of you who can name at least one thing. All right, so I'm going to put you on the spot. Nakia, go first. What is something that Biden has achieved?
Like I said, the Inflation Act or
Okay,
Inflation Reduction Act.
got it. Okay, Carolyn?
The increase in minimum wages.
All right. Julius?
The continuation of Obamacare.
All right. Michael?
He did get some small portion of student loans forgiven.
Got it.
Small
Okay.
portion.
All right. Let me rephrase the question a little bit again for you specifically this way. By a show of fingers, and again without saying anything, who can name at least one thing President Biden has done in office that demonstrated his loyalty to African Americans? I got Nakia. Anybody else? Carolyn's got one. That's two of you. What about the other five of you? Anything? Okay, so just two of you. Nakia, what's the thing you're going to say?
Provided more funding to HBCUs.
Okay.
There you go.
And Carolyn, what was yours?
What was I gonna say? He has done like racial equality.
He's done things to advance racial equality?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. So the next thing is Cindy is going to put up on the screen some text from the White House website. First, she's going to show you a headline, and then we're going to read some text together. Okay? I just want you to see. So this is on the White House website, and it's dated February 6, 2024, so just a couple weeks ago. And it's a fact sheet. The Biden-Harris administration advances equity and opportunity for Black Americans and communities across the country. Okay, so if you go to the White House website, this is what's posted. And then the immediate introduction that immediately follows what's there is what's going to come up next on the screen. Cindy, please put it up there. I'm going to read it out loud to you so we do it together. Over the past 3 years, President Biden and Vice President Harris have leveraged the full force of the federal government to advance racial justice and equity and ensure the promise of America for all communities, including Black Americans, across the country. With the support of these efforts, Black Americans are starting new businesses, creating jobs, buying homes, and taking advantage of increased education opportunities at historic rates, contributing to a 60% increase in wealth compared to before the pandemic. And this boom in wealth creation following the pandemic is helping to drive a historically equitable economic recovery. Next page. From promoting entrepreneurship to increasing access to home ownership and delivering the lowest Black unemployment rate, from proving it's possible to reduce child poverty to historic lows, to expanding access to quality, affordable health care, from advancing voting rights and police accountability to ensuring equal access to a high-quality education with historic funding for historically Black colleges and universities, President Biden and Vice President Harris are committed to investing in the future of Black communities. Okay, Cindy, please take that off the screen. By a show of fingers, who thinks this paragraph that I just read to you, this text, accurately reflects what's actually going on in the African American community during President Biden's time in office? None of you. Okay. Julius, what's not accurate about it? You're muted.
Sorry, I think that it's all political mumbo jumbo. I mean, everybody should have the right to do whatever they want to do in America. So that first beginning sentence, couple of sentences, I mean, I think, it's grasping for straws.
Okay.
Things are bad. People are hurting. Being able to put food on your table, to live in a decent home. I mean, I am in that real estate area. People can't afford homes because the interest rate is high. And they definitely can't afford down payments. Who can afford 20% down payment? You buy a house for $400,000, $500,000. Who's got $100,000?
Okay.
So that's just all rhetoric.
Candace, what's not accurate about what I just read out loud?
Felt like a lot of fluff,
Mhm.
like exaggeration. We may have done this little bit here, but let's say we did this, let's make it look grand. It just felt like a lot of fluff, it was a lot of words, and I hadn't seen that much action.
Okay. Anybody have a different reason, different from Julius and Candace, about why it's not accurate? Nakia, go ahead.
I feel like the voting rights piece isn't necessarily accurate, especially when lots of states are slashing voting rights. So I don't feel like that is actually true about the voting rights.
Okay. Any other reasons?
So I look at it and say, I'm sure the numbers are statistically accurate, but they haven't been statistically significant. If it was a significant change in those areas, then it would be obvious. We could all see it and we could feel it in our day-to-day lives. We would know people who were able to get a house that's been struggling to get a house. And we would have seen people change their state from living, check to check to doing better. And I know the minimum wage probably did a lot for some people, but in a lot of areas, especially in areas where interest rates are super high and housing is super expensive, even raising minimum wage did not pull people out of poverty.
Got it. Okay. By a show of fingers, have race relations in the US gotten better, gotten worse, or remained the same since Joe Biden took office in January of 2021? I'm going to give you a multiple choice. You can raise your finger for either worse, better, worse, or remain the same. By a show of fingers, who say that race relations have gotten better since Biden took office? One of you. Who say they've gotten worse? Show of fingers. None of you. Who say they remain the same? Show of fingers. 6 of you. For the 6 of you who say they remain the same, are you saying they remain the same because they're bad, or say remain the same because they're good? Who would say that they remain the same because they're bad?
Oh,
Sure.
I think they're bad.
Yeah, they're still bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for all 6 of you, it wasn't good when he took over, and it's still not good. That's what I'm hearing. Okay. All right. So President Biden has been a strong and vocal supporter of Israel since October 7th and the attack that happened that day. By a show of fingers, does that support make any of you angry or upset? I got Nakia. Anybody else? Michael.
Oh,
3 of you. Carolyn, that makes you, his support for Israel makes you angry or upset. 3. So I got 3 of you. Okay. Carolyn, tell me about that. Why does it make you angry or upset?
Well, honestly, it makes me a little perturbed because we have so many things that are going on right here in the United States. And I feel that we need to work on here before we go other places. And it makes me upset with the amount of money that we can give to Israel, and we have all the homeless people right here in the United States.
Okay, got it.
That's what disturbs me.
All right, Nakia, tell me about why Biden's support for Israel is makes you angry or upset.
I just don't agree with supporting massacring people. And I feel like that's what's going on over there. And we're supporting what's going on over there by supporting Israel.
Okay. Michael, what about you?
I felt like in the wake of the initial attack, support was warranted and accurate. However, as Israel continues to push further and further into Gaza, it's really not about Hamas anymore. It's the same political fight they've been having over that piece of land for hundreds of years. And they're taking this now as beyond retaliation and into a advancement of a secondary agenda.
Okay. I'm gonna ask the three of you just answer the question. So that's Michael, Nakia, and Carolyn. A question that is a very hypothetical. Do you think you would feel differently about Biden and Israel if you were not African American? Does your feeling, in other words, does your feeling about how Biden has been working in support of Israel, is it driven, you think, by your being African American?
For me, no.
No.
No? Nakia, what about you? No. Okay. So this is a view that has nothing to do with your racial background. It has everything to do with what Biden's doing and how you feel about it generally. Okay. Thank you for working with me. I know I'm asking these hypotheticals, and sometimes I know it's like, where's he going with all this? So thank you. All right. By a show of fingers and without saying anything, who can name at least one thing President Biden has achieved while in office? Something that Biden himself would say is an achievement. Show of fingers.
Of him or of his administration?
His administration.
Okay.
Who can name at least one thing that President Biden has achieved in office that he would say is an achievement? Show of fingers. I just want to make sure I have a count here. I got, 6 of you. All right. So I want to hear what they are. Michelle, why don't you start?
School loans is definitely one. Or reform. You just want me to name one, right?
Yeah, give me 1 or 2 if you have another 1 or 2 that's on top of your mind.
I can't think of anything that. No, I'll say that one because I was going to say some of the proclamations, but that isn't necessarily all encompassing. So I'll just say that.
Okay. Dorothy.
Put more blacks in office than, in the White House than any other president.
Okay. Martin.
Got a lot, but I'll just go with 2. One is he brought sanity to the COVID-19 crisis. 2, in terms of job creation, if you look at the facts, he's created more jobs than what Trump did. But they don't boast about it because Dems don't know how to fight. But anyway.
Okay. Shalia.
I would say pretty much undoing some of the stuff that redoing, I guess, some of the stuff that Trump undid for Biden in terms of environmental policy, like reserves and gas emissions reduction.
Okay. Michael?
I was going to mention the job growth. I believe there's been some job growth as well. And like what Martin said, I thought he did a good job kind of getting us back on track with COVID and all that stuff.
Okay. Kelly?
Student loans and then first female vice president.
Got it. All right, thank you. Let me ask the earlier question a little bit differently. You kind of answered it just now, but I want to just put a fine point on it. By a show of fingers, and again, without saying anything, Who can name at least one thing President Biden has done in office that demonstrated his loyalty to African Americans? Show fingers. Who can name at least one thing he did in office that demonstrates his loyalty to African Americans?
Does it have to be loyalty to African Americans, and can it
Right.
just be something that's benefited African Americans? Because I don't, that to me, that's two different questions. His loyalty, it might be something that was super beneficial to African Americans, but it wasn't demonstrating loyalty.
Now, I'm not, yeah, I'm looking for it to be specifically for Africa. It's something where you as an
Okay.
African American would say, this was
He
done
did
because
that for us.
he wants to show his loyalty to me and the community that I'm in.
Gotcha.
Okay. So Martin and TC, anybody else? Okay. Martin, what's yours?
Once again, like Michelle, I don't really like the word loyalty, but one thing that stands out that's specific to African Americans is the money that he put into HBCUs.
Okay.
Actual money he put into HBCUs.
Got
The
it.
previous guy, he
Martin,
did.
I'm sorry, let me cut you off. I'm gonna move very quick. I apologize. TC, what did Biden do to show his loyalty?
Yeah, someone said it earlier. He picked a female vice president, a black female vice president.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I was surprised that who said that earlier? Kelly, was that yours?
Yeah, I think Kelly. Yeah.
Kelly, why didn't you think that that was a demonstration of loyalty to the African American community?
Because I don't think he. Because I don't think it was. I think it was just like I don't think it was a demonstration to us. It was just a good move. Like, hey, she's black, and like that's it just looks good. I don't think it was for black people.
Got it. Okay. You don't think he was trying to appeal to black voters by doing that?
Yeah, but like a pat on the head, like, oh, look what I got. Not,
I think he
not
was
this is for black people. It's like, we make a good team. Look, I got this black girl. It's like, oh, because she black, we should go with her. You know what I'm saying?
Got it. Thank you. Okay, I just want to clarify that. All right. So, so next, Cindy's going to put up on screen some text from the White House website. First, she's going to show you a headline, then we're going to read some text out loud to you. Okay? So here's the headline. It's currently up on the White House website. It was posted a few weeks ago. Fact sheet. The Biden-Harris administration advances equity and opportunity for Black Americans and communities across the country. That's what the headline says. And then immediately below the headline, it says the following. Over the past 3 years, President Biden and Vice President Harris have leveraged the full force of the federal government to advance racial justice and equity and ensure the promise of America for all communities, including Black Americans across the country. With the support of these efforts, Black Americans are starting new businesses, creating jobs, buying homes, and taking advantage of increased education opportunities at historic rates, contributing to a 60% increase in wealth compared to before the pandemic. And this boom in wealth creation following the pandemic is helping to drive a historically equitable economic recovery. From promoting entrepreneurship to increasing access to home ownership and delivering the lowest Black unemployment rate, from proving it's possible to reduce child poverty to historic lows, to expanding access to quality, affordable health care, from advancing voting rights and police accountability, to ensuring equal access to a high-quality education with historic funding for historically Black colleges and universities, President Biden and Vice President Harris are committed to investing in the future of Black communities. Okay, so that's at the top of that webpage from the White House. And what I'd like to know, by a show of fingers, who thinks that this paragraph accurately reflects what's actually going on in the African American community during President Biden's time in office? Show of fingers. None of you. Okay. All right. Michelle, saw you shake your head a little bit. Tell me what's not accurate about this.
I'm not even sure if I can't even say it's not accurate. I would just need to see what the actual initiatives and programs they're referring to. For example, I think it's wonderful that they're donating money to HBCUs. But myself, I'm a graduate of 3 schools that were not HBCUs. So what are you doing for those of us that went to PWIs? And I just feel like some of these things are, I think Kelly always says that they're for show. So the best way to get, to the Black vote is to say, oh, I donated money to a HBCU. Okay, well, we all don't go to HBCUs. I'm glad that you are donating to them. That's amazing, and they deserve it and they need it. But my question is, what are you doing for Black students, not just HBCUs? So in a lot of ways, I feel like some of this is performative.
Okay. Other reasons why that it doesn't come across as accurate to you in terms of all the things that the administration claims it's done to benefit the African American community?
I'm thinking of, for one, it said increase access to home ownership. Where? My thing is, you might put these initiatives and things out that banks are supposed to be doing, but do you have a checks and balance to ensure that they are? And what are you doing with the interest rates for the people that are trying to purchase homes? Just because you're putting initiatives in place doesn't mean you're making them actually affordable.
Okay.
Like Michelle was saying, I agree. Like, I want to see exactly what the initiatives or the programs were, because a lot of the things that they say are for Blacks and for everybody, but they'll just say it's for Blacks in the beginning, but it's literally for everybody. So it doesn't, it doesn't really directly affect us. It's just like, oh, Black. So it's like, oh, that sounds good, but anyone can get it.
Got it. So basically, in your mind, Kelly, he could have written another page on a website for Hispanic Americans or Asian Americans and said a lot of the same things. Is that what you're trying to?
Exactly. Like the Bank of America initiative for the home buyers. Yeah, it was supposedly for Blacks, but it was literally for everyone. It was not very specific. It just, it was put out there to lure you in, but that wasn't the case.
Got it. Okay. Any other ways in which this text that I read to you missed the mark, different from what you guys have said? Anybody else?
Sure. In terms of, yes, we did have what's called DEI initiatives, where companies appointed people to diversity, equity, inclusion, but that got neutered, starting with what happened in Mississippi Supreme Court. What we could also say is the research that I've seen in terms of gains of houses for African Americans is actually done a reverse. So I'm just not buying it.
Okay, thank you. By a show of fingers, have race relations in the US gotten better, gotten worse, or remained the same since Joe Biden took office in January of 2021? So your 3 choices, again, got better, got worse, remain the same. By a show of fingers, who say that they're better since Biden's been in office? None of you. Who would say that they're worse? One of you. Who'd say they've remained the same? So I had 0 for the first one. I apologize. 0, 1, and then 6 of you, they remain the same. For the 6 of you who say they've remained the same, have they remained the same at a bad level, or have they remained the same at a good level? By a show of fingers, who would say that it's just remained the same at a pretty bad level? 4 of you. Okay. The other 2 of you at what? How would you describe it? Medium, good?
Yeah, I'd say medium, good.
Okay. And who's the other?
Yeah, me, I'd say medium, okay.
Medium,
as far as
okay.
race relations.
Okay. Got it. So President Biden has been a strong and vocal supporter of Israel since October 7th in particular. By a show of fingers, does that support make any of you angry or upset? Show of fingers. Are any of you angry or upset over the president's support of Israel since October 7th? I got Martin. Anybody else? Shalia, 2 of you. Okay. Shalia, tell me about that.
I just think that it's insensitive to just leave it at that. And when obviously one side is taking over another side, I think that coming off support of that is just, to me, super insensitive. Whether or not you feel that way or not, I feel like as a president, you have to say things a certain way and acknowledge that a lot of people here do not support that. So to me, that was just very distasteful.
Okay. Martin, how about you?
Once again, I go back to history. If we go back to the history, there was a 2-year, more or less, ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas. And the Israeli army is highly intelligent, highly effective. What occurred was that they knew they were coming. They got in, they did it. My issue is how we continue to fund genocide.
Okay, got it. So I want to, that's a sensitive topic, obviously, I know. I just want to ask one last question about it, just of you, Shalia, and you, Martin. Do you think that your feeling about Biden's support for Israel, is it at all tied or reflective of the fact that you're an African American? In other words, if you were Caucasian, do you think you would see this in a different way because of a different type of life experience?
No.
What about you, Shalia?
I think maybe.
In terms of putting yourself in the shoes of the people in Gaza, do you mean in that?
Yeah, like I'm able to be empathetic, even though that's obviously not my story, but I understand how it feels. So it would be pushed out your own home because of who you are. So I think so for me personally, not for speaking for all Black people.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive to the idea that none of you are representing every African American. So and you're all very gracious in letting me ask these questions, recognizing, of course, that you're not, no one person represents an entire group.